Sorry, you don't belong here. Not because of missing documents. Not because she booked the wrong room. But because the receptionist's eyes had already decided everything, that the woman in a slightly wrinkled shirt, worn-out sneakers, and dark skin could never possibly be a VIP guest. The Nairobi evening breeze swept along Kimathi Avenue, carrying red dust and the wild scent of rose blossoms. An Isuzu pickup truck slowed to a stop in front of Elanga Heights Hotel, located at the crossroads of urban rhythm and peak luxury. The truck door opened, and a woman stepped out, her black curly hair tied neatly back, a plain white shirt tucked into rolled-up khaki pants. She pulled a small black suitcase behind her, its wheels clicking softly across the marble floor. Zola Ndari. 36 years old. No makeup. No bodyguards. No designer bags. But her eyes, the kind that had witnessed hundreds of cross-continental executive board meetings, made anyone perceptive enough pause with caution. She walked into the hotel lobby and headed straight to the reception desk. A middle-aged woman in a mustard-brown uniform looked up without smiling, eyeing Zola from head to toe like she was scanning an uninvited guest. "Good afternoon. Can I help you?" the woman asked, her tone cold and edged with suspicion. "I have a reservation. Top-floor suite. Name's Zola Ndari," Zola replied calmly. The woman frowned. "What name? You booked a suite? Here? Are you sure you didn't mix up the place?" Zola quietly presented her ID and black card. The woman picked them up like they were something suspicious, muttering, "This card, is this real?" A male staff member beside her scoffed, "Someone like her booking a suite? Maybe she's just picking something up for someone else." Their voices carried clearly across the lobby, where a few guests were sipping coffee and working on laptops. Some turned to look. A young waitress, half hidden behind the bar station, glanced up silently. Zola didn't respond, nor did she retreat. She simply nodded. "If you need to verify further, I'm willing to wait." The woman called the floor manager. Minutes later, a man in a dark suit approached, his face visibly annoyed. "We don't have any booking under that name. If you don't leave, I'll have to call security." A sudden breeze slipped through the revolving glass door, bringing with it the scent of damp earth and distant car horns. Zola looked at him, then took out her phone and made a call. When the other end picked up, she spoke just one sentence. "It's time. Activate the blacklist." She closed the phone. And the real storm, still waiting just beyond the lobby doors, began to rise. A young waitress stood tucked behind the bar counter. Her name was Amina, a final-year hospitality student interning from the University of Nairobi. She had just started her evening shift and hadn't even had time to tie her hair back when the unusual scene caught her attention. Unlike the loud altercations she'd occasionally witnessed, the woman being denied check-in was completely calm. Her eyes showed no pleading, no anger. Only quiet stillness. Taking a risk, Amina discreetly accessed the hotel's internal booking system using a backup staff account. The screen lit up, Zola Ndari, Presidential Suite, 21st floor, black card verified, VIP classification, executive override. Below that, a red warning line blinked, "Do not deny service." Verification email, board@elanga-group.com. She swallowed hard and took a step back. Across the front desk, the shift manager, Mr. Nyong'o, had stepped out from the operations room. He spoke in a low voice, but loud enough for the staff to hear. "Unconfirmed guest. Possibly impersonating. Handle gently. If she refuses to leave, call security." Zola remained still, not a single unnecessary movement. Her hand rested on her suitcase. A white guest seated nearby on a leather chair turned to his companion and murmured, "Pretty sure I saw her at the AI summit in Kigali last month." Another observer, a young Ugandan journalist live streaming her travel assignment, slowly shifted her camera toward the front desk. "You're watching live from Elanga Heights," she whispered to her followers. "Something very strange is happening here." Zola raised her phone to her ear again. She didn't say much, just 3 words. "Are we ready?" And from the other end, a low female voice responded crisply. "Ready. Waiting for your signal." A blue flicker ran across the control panel behind the reception desk. The shift manager's login and the entire card verification system were temporarily disabled. The keyboard beeped in error. Nyong'o looked confused. What's going on? Amina couldn't stay silent any longer. She stepped forward and leaned in, whispering into his ear. Her name's in the system. Verified at the highest level. I think we're making a serious mistake. Zola turned toward Amina with a warm gaze and gave a small nod. A quiet moment, but it spread, like oil across water, through a lobby long accustomed to complicit silence. The revolving glass door spun again, several new guests entered, pausing abruptly at the scene before them. A security guard started to approach Zola, but his phone buzzed. He stepped back. On the screen, executive-level guest. Stand down. Zola slowly stepped closer to the front desk. She didn't need to shout. She didn't need to prove anything. Everything was already beginning to unravel, layer by layer, under the eyes of witnesses who were slowly waking up. Zola's fingers glided gently across her phone screen. She tapped on a security icon. A message appeared, activate remote executive control. In an office in Johannesburg, her executive assistant, Lindy, saw the command instantly. Zola has activated the black code. Send the signal to the entire chain, she said to her colleague, as the server began encrypting and directing data live to Ilanga Heights. Back in Nairobi, the indicator light on the operations system turned orange, an executive-level alert. All access from mid-level accounts and below was restricted. Staff data, guest feedback, and system logs were transmitted directly to headquarters. Manager Nyong'o was visibly panicked. Who's doing this? This is a breach of internal protocol, he shouted. Zola pulled a document from her suitcase, folded it in half, and held it up. Ilanga Chain Founding Contract. Signed by Zola Ndari. I'm not violating protocol, I'm enforcing the policy I wrote myself. A long silence followed. Then, suddenly, the reception desk computer spoke in an automated voice. Local staff input suspended. Awaiting verification. Recording in progress. Amina stood frozen. Musa, the senior staff member, quietly stepped forward and bowed slightly toward Zola. Welcome back, Ms. Zola. I remember the first time you visited Ilanga in Dar es Salaam. You wore a beige shirt, reading financial reports at the bar. I've never forgotten. Zola nodded. Thank you, Musa. That day, you brought me a free ginger tea, without asking who I was. A soft chime rang out. The large screen behind the reception desk shifted to a new logo, the image of a bridge connecting two hands, the symbol of the Change from Within campaign. Manager Nyong'o panicked. This can't be. This is a setup. Detain her. But no one moved. A guest stood up. Detain who? The founder of this hotel. The Ugandan journalist raised her phone higher. The live stream now has over 4,000 viewers. Everything you do is being witnessed. Zola took another step forward. I've been turned away. I've been insulted. I've slept in my car just because I wasn't wearing the kind of outfit people expect in a 5-star hotel. I built Ilanga to change that. But today, you've shown me, change is not enough, without cleansing. The air in the lobby felt frozen. Manager Nyong'o's hand trembled slightly, his eyes scanning the staff as if searching for an ally. But no one spoke. The weight of losing control pressed down on him. And worse, everything was being recorded, second by second. A security guard lightly touched his earpiece. The command from headquarters was clear: stand down. Security systems had been overtaken by top-tier executive authority. Even the guards no longer had permission for emergency intervention. Zola stepped closer to the front desk, stopping at the exact spot where guests normally check in. She looked directly at the surveillance camera mounted in the ceiling corner. Fully aware it was streaming live to Johannesburg and simultaneously broadcasting across Ilanga's internal oversight channels throughout Africa. The staff here, she said, articulating each word clearly, have not only violated service policy, but have broken our core principle: systemic discrimination. Amina, her hands trembling, opened a folder from the desk drawer. Inside was the complaint log from the past 3 months. Every report about black female guests being denied service had been marked unfounded. All approved by the same person, Nyong'o. Musa stepped forward, his voice slow and steady. I submitted 3 separate reports about mistreatment of guests. None were acted upon. All were returned, by this shift manager himself. A soft ding sounded from the system. The touchscreen displayed the words, suspension order, in progress. Zola continued. None of you are being dismissed for making one mistake. You are being dismissed because you chose to repeat those mistakes, even after being warned. Effective immediately, operational authority over this lobby is transferred to Ms. Amina Abayoy, the first one who dared to speak the truth. A wave of applause rose. Not loud, but resolute. Guests stood. A man wearing glasses exclaimed, "This is the first time I've seen justice happen, right at the check-in desk." The atmosphere in the lobby erupted like a wave breaking open. Applause began with a middle-aged guest near the entrance. Then another. And then the entire lobby rose together, clapping in unison. Not because anyone asked them to, but because they had just witnessed something they never thought possible. Justice. Amina stood stunned, her hands trembling as she held the complaint log she had just submitted. Zola turned to her, her eyes softer than ever before. You don't need to apologize for being silent before, Zola said quietly. What matters is that you chose not to stay silent now. A group of international guests entered from the back entrance, rolling their suitcases, stopping as the applause washed over them. One of them, an older woman of Indian descent with silver hair, leaned over and asked a nearby staff member, "What's going on?" The employee replied, "The founder of the hotel chain just personally removed a manager for discrimination." The woman paused, gripped her husband's hand gently, and smiled. "We came to the right place." Zola stepped back to the reception desk and picked up the microphone connected to the lobby sound system. She took a deep breath. "My name is Zola Ndari. I am the founder of the Ilanga Hotel Group. And today, I didn't just come to stay. I came to reclaim what should have always belonged to all of us. Unconditional respect." She paused. "From this moment forward, every internal policy will be reviewed. Those who were rejected or ignored will be contacted. Amina Abayoy will serve as acting general manager of this hotel until I return for the formal transition." Musa smiled gently, his eyes glassy with emotion. He turned to Amina and gave a slight nod. She bowed her head, silent tears falling onto her collar. Zola stepped away from the microphone, picked up her phone, and tapped a single command. "Send the press release. Attach full video and system logs." Several guests instinctively reached for their phones and saw the headlines already running live on major media channels. Hotel founder confronts discrimination in her own lobby, in real time. The applause continued, this time like the grand crescendo of a spontaneous symphony of justice. Beneath the golden ceiling, beside the glass doors where the Nairobi wind still blew. 3 months after the incident at Ilanga Heights, the seasonal winds from Lake Victoria still carried the scent of mud and tree sap into the heart of Nairobi. But one thing had changed forever, the atmosphere in the hospitality industry. Ilanga Heights still looked the same from the outside. Red copper roof tiles, wide glass arches catching the sun, and a grand lobby lit by sparkling crystal chandeliers. But inside, every step, every glance, felt different. Amina Abayoy was now the official general manager. Wearing a light beige suit, she walked the grand lobby as if she had never been the overlooked intern. Guests, regardless of skin color or attire, were now welcomed with genuine smiles, not silent judgment. A large portrait of Zola Ndari hung at the entrance, not as a CEO, but as a symbol. Beneath it, a bronze plaque read, "Where every journey deserves respect." Ilanga's internal system had been completely reformed. Each hotel in the chain now displayed a visible service transparency charter. All guest complaints had to pass through a 3-tier process: response, independent review, and corporate verification. Zola rarely appeared in public. She was busy leading Ilanga's reform initiative in countries like Ghana, Ethiopia, and South Africa. But every day, the internal network received a quote from her, sent to all staff as a reminder. No role is too small to deserve respect. No guest is too ordinary to be disregarded. A major financial magazine called the Ilanga Heights event the first soft revolution in African hospitality. Over 40 lodgings across the region voluntarily reviewed and revised their guest policies afterward. On the 100th day anniversary, Zola returned to Nairobi. Unannounced, without fanfare. She simply stood in front of the hotel where she was once turned away. Amina recognized her instantly and ran to embrace her. The lobby fell silent. A white woman stepped forward, gently took Zola's hand, and said, "Your story reached Cape Town. Thank you for not staying silent." Zola gave a soft smile. "I stayed silent for many years. But storms always need someone to open the door. That time, I was just the one who turned the handle." She stepped into the lobby. This time, no one stopped her. The breeze outside brushed gently against her sleeve. And the world inside, for the first time, truly belonged to everyone. If Zola's story moved you, leave a like as a show of support for justice. Follow us to hear more stories, where forgotten voices are heard, and truth is told in full.